Hey, what's going on, guys? Author TJ Weeks,
And I'm Kris Weeks.
and we're gonna answer some questions today. This one's from David Scott. Who is your favorite horror author that isn't Stephen King?
I don't really have a favorite horror author. I've never really read much of horror. I've watched more horror movies than I have read horror.
Uh, yeah, I'm more of a Dan Brown fan. I like a lot of Irish Johansson. I don't really read into a lot of horror either. But if I really had to pick, I would guess I would have to say Clive Barker. But for the record, for everybody that always goes into all that, I'm not exactly a big Stephen King fan. He's way too damn wordy for me. His descriptions are like way the hell above what I care to read. So the next question is from Mark Mackey. What inspired you to start writing, and how do you plan books?
I actually started writing poetry when I was very, very young, and then I started writing erotica when I was about 15 and sent them all into Penthouse and Playboy and had them published in their magazines. I plan my books just building up characters that I think would be interesting to me.
What inspired me to start writing? Music actually inspired me to start writing. If you actually see some of my first books that were put out, they're actually books of poetry, which were actually lyrics that I just didn't use with the band that I was in. As far as how do I plan my books, I've got two big ass whiteboards, and yeah, I sit there and go through that whole process of kind of elimination of how I want to do things, and then figure out the storyline, figure out the chapters, break down the chapters, etc. All right, S.K. Ballinger asks, how do you come up with the characters?
I actually really like crazy, kind of off the wall characters, and I try and think of what would be crazy and off the wall to me and what would be interesting to others, and just go off and write about them.
Let's see here. How do I come up with my characters? I really don't know. I guess I'm just that fucked up in the head. Alright, well, these are going to just be random questions from here on out. So here, TJ, how would you best sum up your career so far? It's been interesting, I guess, to say the least. I mean, I'm not really going to say that I really consider it a full-out career just yet, because it's still kind of wide open for suggestion. I have picked up more and more fans as I've began to write. I just released out my 35th, so I mean I do have many that are out there, but like I said, I wouldn't really say that it's necessarily a career so far. So we'll kind of see how that's gonna go. Kris, what's your typical day?
What a question. Typical day is mainly just pretty much hanging out with TJ. There are days that I do work. I work part-time at this time at a real job, just an actual job, and get out of the house. And I work part-time. I come home and usually try and help TJ with any outlines he needs or things like that, and try and make a little bit of time to write on my own books, and I market for Discovered Pages.
I like how she announces that real job. TJ, I know you're not a cat person, but is Kris. Kris is really not so much a cat person either, but she definitely tolerates cats way more than I. Kris, what's your obsessions with pigs?
I think they're cute, and I really, really want another one. And I used to have one when my first daughter was born, and I think TJ should let me have another.
And by the way, that is obsessed. She has pig cookie jars, she has pig calendars, and pig everything. And she annoys me every single day about getting her a micro pig or a potbelly pig. So yes, obsessed. See here. All right, Kris, what's the best words you can explain TJ? Or what's the best words you can explain or can use to explain TJ?
Complicated, crazy, and spontaneous. Those are good words.
Definitely spontaneous. TJ, how do you suck up so much alcohol and still function like a normal person? What can I say? I'm an alien. Kris, what's your first impression when you read TJ Weeks' books?
I thought they were absolutely wonderfully creative. I know a lot of people had a lot of issues with thinking that because they were so screwed up, that TJ was also screwed up. And I guess I just have a different outlook. So I really thought that he was intelligent just for being able to write that kind of genre.
Well, I've got a side question off of that question. What was your first response whenever I started writing Devil Days? Honestly.
That I wasn't gonna like it because I just didn't like that kind of book. I knew I had already made up my mind I wasn't gonna like it. However, unfortunately, I had no choice but to read it. At that time, I thought it was unfortunate, but it has become one of my favorites.
TJ, do you feel competitive with Kris and her books? No, I do not, because hers is like I guess more like a erotic thriller, or I guess that's what you would category or put it in a category as. I don't know. She's got an awesome writing style, and I really hope that she does. I hope she does better than me, but as far as competitive behind it, no, not really. I don't know. Whenever I was a kid, I was very competitive whenever it came down to like sports and stuff like that. But as far as yeah, getting older, I give two shits. Kris, TJ is a known workaholic when it comes to his work. Does that affect your family?
Sometimes there are times that I would like him to get off the computer or get off of Facebook for marketing and things like that and come out and do things. But I get over that pretty quickly when he tells me to go away.
TJ, has Kris killed you off in any of her novels? Not that I know of yet, but I'm sure it's soon to come. Kris, what bothers you the most when it comes to TJ?
His grumpiness when he's tired and hungry. He makes me very aggravated if he's hungry. He gets very rude, and if he's very tired, he does the same, and that is so aggravating to me.
Yeah, I think you're full of it. TJ, any pet peeves you have on Kris? Yes, I do. She is the happiest fucking person in the world whenever she wakes up, and I fucking hate her in the morning. Biggest pet peeve to anyone. If you're one of those happy-go-lucky people, stay the fuck away from me until I am fully awake. Have me at least a cigarette, possibly, an entire cup of coffee would be great. Yeah, that's a pet peeve I have for people in general, not just Kris. Kris, where do you see TJ's career in 5 years?
I believe in 5 years. I believe his books are going to be a big deal. I've always said from day one that I think that his books are going to hit it big time, and I still believe that to this day, even after the few years we've already been together.
Well, on that, I don't really plan on signing with any kind of like publisher, period. So, I don't know how big an indie author can really get, but I guess we'll find out. TJ, where do you see Kris's career in 5 years? I hope a lot better than where mine's at right now. Let's see here. Kris, what's it like to live with the crazy TJ Weeks?
Again, sometimes it's complicated, a lot of spontaneity, a lot of craziness. He likes to pick on me quite often. I always say that I think he married me because I'm easy to pick on, and he proves that on a daily basis. Otherwise, it keeps life very interesting, and I probably smile a majority of the day because of it.
You like it. TJ, you're always doing giveaways. What's the most you've ever given away? Well, that's kind of weird question, I guess, but I've definitely given away a shitload of books, but the most I've ever given away, I mean, as far as quantity, I don't know. As far as like items, I mean, I've given away 2 cars, and I've given away a laptop. I think that constitutes probably for the most I've ever given away. So here, Kris, how would you explain meeting S.K. Ballinger?
I met S.K. Ballinger, of course, first on Skype. However, when he came down, SK is very, I would kind of say opinionated, but I could argue his opinions a lot. And if I did, I know a lot of times SK would try and prove me wrong, which he does to TJ a lot as well. However, it's fun to talk to SK, and the time he was here was just absolutely fun.
TJ, how would you explain meeting S.K. Ballinger? You know, I thought he'd be bigger. I started talking to S.K. Ballinger on Skype, actually on Facebook, and we started talking on Skype because we started working on the Obsessed with the Kill special edition, and you know, it's always different. It's just like seeing someone's profile picture on Facebook or MySpace or Twitter or whatever. You know, usually seeing somebody in a picture, a lot of people are going to put up some of their best pictures instead of, you know, like, I don't know, like on a shitty day. Unless, you see mine or something, because I just don't care. But, yeah, most people, they pick out the best that they've got on things. So, I mean, that's kind of like, I guess the different perspective behind seeing people. And seeing him, I honestly thought he'd be bigger. And it's not because, like he lied about anything or any of that. Because, I mean, yeah, he told me how much he weighed and all that. And I was just like, man, there's no fucking way. And then I actually met him. And I was like, whoa. I just wanted to give the boy a sandwich. But S.K. Ballinger, he's a very cool individual. He definitely is a debater. And that's fun a lot of times. He as I tell him all the time, is definitely a storyteller. He can conjure up some stories that, I mean, yeah, will have you laughing your ass off pretty much all night. As a matter of fact, whenever he was here, we had one night sitting around the campfire, and of course we were drinking because that's what I do. And yeah, he pretty much kept us entertained the entire night, including laying on the ground and petting my dog. It was great. Good times. Does it cause conflict with you two writing books together?
I don't think so. There are times that TJ is wanting the book to go a different way, and there's times that I don't think it should go that way. But we don't necessarily have any conflict about it. Usually we explain each other's situations and why we want it to go that way, and usually we're pretty good on compromising.
Yeah, I don't really see a conflict behind any things. That's just like writing with S.K. Ballinger. Normally, I actually sit down and I break everything down into the chapter levels, and then I'll break down those chapters to like kind of a basic of what needs to happen in those chapters. And the only reason I do it like a basic instead of like a full out thing is because I want you to be able to use your imagination. I don't want to just if I was going to sit there and have it pretty much spot on to how that chapter needed to go, then there's no point that I should ever have anybody collaborate with me on shit, because I would just be able to write it myself. So I definitely want people to bring in their own imaginations into the books and all that whenever I do collaborations. And for most of you know that that's pretty much all I'm doing these days is collaborations. I'm doing collaborations with Kris, and I'm doing my collaborations with S.K. Ballinger. Well, if he's not done, quit, whatever. Anyways, let's see here. I hear y'all got married on Halloween. What's the story on that?
I mean, I guess it was just a mutual decision. I mean, it was we met the year before and decided that 10/31/13 was just a good time to get married.
I've always said if I ever got married again, it was going to be on my favorite holiday, and Halloween is definitely my favorite holiday. It always has been. So, anyways, yeah, we kind of took that and ran with it. We actually had the Nightmare Before Christmas theme. Let's see here. I came out, or me and my groomsmen came out to Shinedown, and her and her bridesmaids came out to Flyleaf. So it was pretty awesome. And unfortunately, yeah, none of my family was able to make it, and pretty much none of my friends except my groomsmen. And but it was still a great thing. Her mom was able to make it, so I thought that was pretty damn awesome. And anyways, yeah, we got to get married. Actually, her cousin was a preacher, a biker preacher at that, so that just added on to our wedding. So, anyways, he married us, and we all got to go out to eat. And yeah, then we went and celebrated at the bar because that's just how we do it. Is there anything that you wish your fans would do more of to help you out?
I mean, as for me, I'm just happy that I guess I can put stuff out there and do things that kind of interest both TJ and I. As for fans doing more, I'm just happy that people like what I put out. I mean, everybody raves about Ava and as crazy as she was. I know I've got a couple of fans out there that want me to write a book too on Ava, and I did leave it open for that. So, I mean, I guess just keep reading what I put out there.
As far as I don't know, as far as all that goes, I mean, I guess there's always something more that somebody can do. But whenever you see so many people do so much, it's really hard to ask anybody to do anything else. Whenever it comes down to my books, I mean, I get hit up a lot whenever it comes down to like, why aren't your books on these big, bookshelves as far as Barnes and Noble and Books a Million and all this other crap. And I mean, honestly, I'm not speaking for just me. Like any author is really only as big as their fans are. So I mean, if you got 3 fans and they're diehard fans, they're gonna buy every single thing that you put out. And that's awesome. But if they don't really get it out there to where their friends and other readers are gonna actually start picking it up and buying as well, to where you're building off that, you're never really moving forward. So I mean, whenever it comes down to that, I mean, yeah, I'm head over heels with my fans, and most people even know I spend most of my time really trying to actually be personal with my fans because they do so much for me. So I mean, as far as more that they can actually help out or do, like, I don't know. That's a tough one. So here, Kris, what was it like ghostwriting TJ's autobiography, and do you aim to write an autobiography too?
um, Writing TJ's autobiography was a mess. TJ pretty much just wrote down all of the memories he had, and not necessarily in any specific order. So me going back and having to put them in order was a little different. I had to have him there and ask lots of questions and things like that. So it was definitely difficult, but I think it turned out rather well. And I don't think I'm gonna write an autobiography. I don't know. I was a pretty sheltered kid and didn't have too terribly much that went on. Anything that was based on true events has already been written.
And as far as my autobiography goes, what I did is, yes, each memory that I wanted to put in there, I went through there and I wrote it up basically like a short story. Covered it the best that I could, and let Kris, kind of just take off of that. However, there's a lot of things that I left out, especially whenever it came to the military side, because I don't want the fucking military or the police coming and banging on my door and shit, and shackling me up and taking me to Leavenworth because I spilled something that they thought was a secret or whatever it may be. So, anyways, and I tell you what, that was the hardest book that I've had to do. Period. Because of the fact that some things you just want to forget, and it's but that's the things that everybody else wants to know, because if you just tell everyone about the good parts of anything, it's just like no one's ever really pleased with that. They want to know that bad of things. That's just like watching a movie. There could be just bland scenes of just a normal life or whatever, and there's only so much of that you're really going to get off on, and then all of a sudden, someone gets fucking shot and the crowd goes wild. It's one of those things. So, however, I did leave out a lot because, I wanted to kind of separate my feelings from some of that, or spare my feelings on some of that. And, even though everyone tells me I'm an asshole, I definitely kind of left some things out to spare other people's feelings as well. Sir, where can we expect to see you two in the near future? Well, I know for a fact that we're going to be in Kansas City, Missouri on 16th of October, and then we'll be in Naperville, Illinois on the 17th of October for book signings. And both of those are going to be at the Half Price Books stores. Anyways, we got actual posters and shit that we've been putting out for all that. So other than that, that's about the only things that are set in stone right now. I know right now we're kind of looking into Florida. I want to do a horror convention, so it wouldn't be just me, or it wouldn't be just her, or whatever. It'll be 6 authors total if I can pull it off. And I mean, on that note, on any of them, they're gonna have to pay for their booths, because that's gonna be like reimbursing me. It's gonna cost me right at $1,000. It's $900 for us to even get the damn place for those 3 days, and then plus, we gotta pay for the hotel for those 3 days. Actually, it'll be more than 3 days. I think we're actually gonna go down there for about 5 or 6 days. So we'll kind of, lounge out on the beach and all that shit, kind of relax a little bit after all this driving and all that. However, we really haven't sat down and I guess discussed too much of the future as far as all that goes. I'm trying to narrow things down, or that's pretty much my plan, is to narrow things down to where I can kind of hit up one main place per year. Uh, you know, People will be there or they won't. I mean, that's just the way it's gonna have to be, because I just don't think people realize how much money all this takes. I mean, ordering books, you can order 200 books, for each book you decide to take, or whatever, and that turns into thousands of dollars whenever it's all said and done. And then travel expenses, hotel expenses, eating expenses, etc. I mean, it's always more expensive to eat out than it is to go grocery shopping and just eat it, at the house. So, anyways, I'm probably going to start narrowing it down to about one location per year, and we're going to hit that up. And anyways, I'll have to decide, kind of roundabout, what time of year we're going to actually be able to plan that out and such. But I would like to hit up New York for sure. That's definitely one that I wouldn't mind being at. Like I said, Florida is definite, and yeah, that's about. I don't know how many sales I would get, but I actually wouldn't mind doing one in Alabama. I like to do one over there around Gulf Shores, and if the book signing did well, that's kind of a plus. But I really just want to go there just because I like to fish and be able to be out on the beach and all that. And that place is awesome. Alright, well, last question. Kris, how is all that food that we're always seeing posted up that TJ is cooking? It's not cooking, it's smoking.
It's absolutely wonderful. TJ is an awesome smoker. He grills absolutely awesome food, and it is always just wonderful. Anybody that has it always raves about it. People have told him to start a barbecue place and sell his food, etc. He's done catering and all of that as well. So it's always wonderful.
Well, and yeah, I don't always just cook out on the pit. I do cook in the house too. I'm not just prone for the barbecue pit, even though that's the one I usually post. But I usually post up those pictures to be a smartass since they started to throw my face up with my meat up on the news and shit. So that's typically why y'all see more of that, because if I'm cooking enchiladas, who gives a shit? Do you really want to see a picture of my enchiladas? Either way, but yeah, I like cooking, and Kris is she's a pretty good cook too. On meats, she does decent, but she's definitely good at the frying portion of things, which is probably why I'm unhealthy as fuck right now. Because between all the barbecues and fried foods and all that, I'm gonna probably end up dying of a stroke or a heart attack, sometime in the near future. Clogged arteries and shit.
Sorry.
Anyways, well, I guess that's our interview, and if anybody else has any more questions or whatever, just let us know. We're definitely not going to be adding on to this, but yeah, it's been fun going about all this anyway. Unless you have any personal questions you want to throw out there for anything.
No, I'm good, but we'll definitely answer any others that come through.
Alrighty, well the boss says no. Anyways, y'all have a good night. We'll talk to y'all later.